Black History Month is an annual celebration of African American history. The word annual means every year. We celebrate people like Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Thurgood Marshall, and Rosa Parks, just to name a few. Black History Month celebrates important people and events in African American history. It is celebrated every February. February is Black History Month. So you might be wondering, why is it celebrated in February? Why is February, of all the months, Black History Month? Well, both Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass were born in the month of February. Both of these men worked to end slavery, and guess what? This is so awesome. They did it. They absolutely did it, and so many other people worked to that end too. But Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass were some of the main figures in ending slavery. February is the perfect month to celebrate Black history. Okay, so what's the story behind this celebration? Well, it all goes back to this man, a man named Carter Woodson, who would later be known as the father of Black history. He was a historian and a well-published author who was concerned that the stories of Black history were not being told. Carter Woodson announced the second week of February to be a week dedicated to celebrating Black history. You might say, a week? It's a month. It's Black History Month. Well, you have to hold on. At first, it was just a week. It was the second week of February. In the following decades, celebrating Black history in the second week of February grew in popularity. More and more people were celebrating Black history on the second week of February. Then, in 1969, it was proposed that the entire month of February become Black History Month. Then, just 6 years later, in 1975, President Gerald Ford recognized Black History Month. He said officially, listen everybody, this is a thing. The month of February, it's important to celebrate Black history. He said the accomplishments of African Americans have been too long neglected.
Ain't gonna let nobody.
Thank you for taking your time out from your busy schedule to meet with us today here at Gardiner Manor.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me. My pleasure.
My name is Jada, and this is Pamela, Stefan, Emmanuel, and Miles. We will be asking you questions related to your experience as an African American person. We would like to invite you to our interviewing table, please.
Thank you.
Before we begin the interview, please state your name and the role you fulfill here in the Bayshore School District.
I'm Carlton Brown. I'm your principal at Gardiner Manor School.
How would you describe the pride you feel being African American?
Well, how would I describe the pride of being African American? Well, ever since I was a little boy, I was African American, you know? So the pride of it is that it's a whole culture. It's a whole way of life. It's part of everything I do. Everything I think of. It's me. Okay? And the pride of it is that I feel special. I feel rewarded. I feel complete. And I feel unique. I'm me and I'm unique. I'm different than everybody else. Okay. That's my answer.
Has your race ever become an obstacle in your life?
I can't think of any other time that it hasn't been an obstacle. It's always been an obstacle. It's been an obstacle since the day I was born. It dictated what hospital my mother had to have me in. It dictated what part of town I had to live in. It dictated what kind of school I went to. And I'll tell you a little funny story. It's not funny, but I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. And I was going to a little public school right down the street from my house. And my parents decided they didn't like the school. So they sent me to Catholic school. And they sent me to Catholic school. It's called St. Gregory the Great. And in that school, all the kids in elementary school had to go to church before school, and they would go to church in the basement, and the high school would go to church upstairs. On my first day of school, I walked into church a little bit late and went to sat in one of the pews next to a little boy. And the little boy said to me, "I don't want no N-word," excuse the N-word, sitting next to me. Now, I was so young, I didn't know what it was, but I knew it wasn't nice what he was saying. And so I proceeded to, we had a little argument, put it like that, in the middle of church. And the nun came up and grabbed me by the neck and took me out of church. But she never corrected him for calling me the N-word. And that was my first day in Catholic school.
If you could choose,
So, and I could tell you many stories like that over the years that have happened to me because of my race, but in spite of that, I still was able to accomplish things, okay? Because my parents believed in you had to work harder than everybody else to be successful. So they made sure I worked harder than everybody else, and they drummed that into me to do better, to be better than everybody else. Okay, go ahead.
if you could choose one word to describe yourself as an African American person, what would that word be? And can you tell us why?
One word to describe me. Well, I don't like to describe myself because I'm just me. So if I had to describe myself, I would say unique. I would say smart. I would say funny. I would say intelligent. I would say thought-provoking. I would say bold. I would say daring. I would say adventurous. And I just keep adding adjectives because every day I try to be a different person I was the day before. I try to be a person that's growing. Okay. And so what was the second part of the question?
And can you tell us why?
I guess because I'm always searching. I'm always searching to be better. So because I'm always searching to be better, I try to do something different, something new, something that makes me unique, that makes me better than I was the day before, and always trying to keep growing. So even though I'm a little older than most of you here, I'm still trying to grow.
Once again, thank you for coming. We enjoyed your company.
Thank you, and it's my pleasure. Keep up the good work.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with us today here at Gardiner Manor School. My name is Celia, and this is Levine, Oida, and Abiel.
How are you?
We will be asking you questions related to your experiences as an African American person. We would like to invite you to our interviewing table. Please follow me.
Okay.
Before we begin with the interview, please state your name and the role you fulfill here at the Bayshore School District.
So my name is Mrs. Curtis, and I currently teach ELA, 6th grade at the middle school.
How would you describe the pride you feel being an African American?
Oh, awesomeness to the highest level. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. When I look at the legacy of my own family and my own people, and adding on to that the legacy of some of the more popular names that we know of, Rosa Parks or Benjamin Banneker. It just gives me a lot of pride, and that pride is how I get to that awesomeness that I feel.
Has your race ever become an obstacle in your life?
It probably has, but I'm not completely aware of how many times it may have been. There have been times where I feel I've had to prove my intelligence to let a person know, that despite what statistics say, like for instance, I really couldn't go to, let's say St. Joe's, which is a good teacher school out on Long Island. I couldn't really go to that kind of school. I had to make sure I went to a strong university, to make sure that people took me seriously, But I'm sure it has been an obstacle because unfortunately we have prejudgment in racism.
If you could choose one word to describe yourself as an African American person, what word would it be?
Can you tell us why?
Oh, both. As an African American person and as an African American woman, strong. It sounds very simple and basic, but there's a lot of strength in being an African American woman who serves as a mother, a wife, a daughter, in a society where it's almost like a double struggle in some way, like a double negative. But for some reason, you know how they say that math kind of explains it all, like math, certain things add up in a certain way. But for some reason, for me, it doesn't turn out to be a double negative. It turns out to me as being a positive. So it's very interesting.
Once again, thank you for coming. We enjoyed your company.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with us today here at Gardiner Manor School.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
My name is Miles, and this is Jada, Maureen, Emmanuel, and Pamela. We will be asking you questions related to your experiences as an African American person.
Okay.
We would like to invite you to our interviewing table. Please follow me.
Thank you very much.
Before we begin with the interview, please state your name and the role you fulfill here in Bayshore School District.
Okay. My name is Ebony Turner. I'm a 6th grade English teacher at Bayshore Middle School. I've been teaching in the district for 19 years. I taught at Brook Avenue. I taught at South Country. And now I'm at Bayshore Middle School. Are you all 6th grade?
Yes.
Also, I'll be seeing you next year.
So how would you describe the pride you feel being a woman of color?
Oh, wow. Well, I take a lot of pride in being an African American woman of color, because I always think about how in our field here in Bayshore, sometimes there are not a lot of us represented, and I feel like young boys and girls and all kids should have positive role models, positive women of color in front of them, and I feel like I try to take pride in that.
Does being an African American create opportunities for you to be a role model in the educational profession?
Yes, yes. Every day when I'm teaching, every day when I'm walking in the hallways, how I conduct my life day to day is very important to me to come across as a professional, a good role model, a good citizen.
If you could choose one word to describe yourself as a person of minority status, what would that word be? And can you tell us why?
One word. I guess I would have to describe myself as, well, I would say driven. I'm always pushing towards goals. I set goals. I like to accomplish them. And you have to persevere when things get difficult. You have to like rise above those challenges. So I guess I would describe myself as driven. Only one word? No?
You can say more than one thing.
Okay. Honest. To me, it's important to be honest and to keep your word. And if I had to pick one more word, I guess I would say. No, I think I summed it up with those two.
Once again, thank you for coming. We enjoyed your company.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to meet with us today at Gardiner Manor
You're
School.
welcome. Nice
My-
to meet you.
Thank you. My name is. Oh.
Nice to meet you.
My name is Miles, and this is Jada, Emmanuel, Disleen, and Pamela.
Hello, everyone.
We'll be asking you questions related to your experience as an African American person. We would like to invite you to our interview table. Please follow me. Before we begin with the interview, please state your name and the role you fulfill here at Gardiner Glacier School District.
My name is Mrs. Rodolphe, Danielle Rodolphe, and I am a fourth grade teacher at Gardiner Manor School.
So how would you describe the pride you feel being a woman of color?
I am extremely proud of being a woman of color. In fact, I am biracial. That means that my mother was actually from Belgium and my father is from Haiti. So I actually feel very proud of that. And when I was young, I was a little bit different than everyone, but now I wear my pride around because I feel like I can see many different people who are just like me all around Gardiner Manor School and all around the world. So I'm so happy to have people that are biracial just like me around the world nowadays.
Does being an African American create opportunities for you to be a role model in the educational profession?
Absolutely. I think that me being African American allows many students to look up to me when they see me in the hallway and they notice that my skin is a different color and maybe their skin is the same color as my skin. They might feel a little bit more likely to open up to me. Even other students, I think it doesn't matter the color of their skin. They might just see me in the hallway, a happy smiling face. But going back to a woman of color, I think that, I'm sorry, can you go over the question again?
Does being an African American create opportunities for you to be a role model in the educational profession?
I think that it allows the kids to see that, if they would like to be a teacher, they can go ahead and be a teacher. It doesn't matter the color of their skin. And to even reach their goal of being whatever they want to be. So in the classroom, we always say, go girls, or even go boys. You can be whatever you want to be. We try to read multicultural books of kids of any race or people of any race so that they could see the adversity that those people had to go through in order to reach their dreams and their goals.
If you could choose one word to describe yourself as a person of minority status, what would that word be?
And can you tell us why?
I have always been somebody who persevered, who never gave up. I think when I was young, I was often picked on because of the color of my skin. And I'll tell you why. Because I was neither dark enough or light enough. And I was just like, At first I was like, what's wrong with me? I'm just me. And as I grew up, I just learned to rock who I am. Doesn't matter, I am me. And I am now proud of that person. And I tell everybody else, you know what? You need to be proud of who you are too. So you might notice me standing in the hallway, and I always have a smile on my face. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. Because now I am proud of me.
Once again, thank you for coming, Mrs. Adolphi. We enjoyed your company.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with us today here at Gardiner Manor School.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My name is Jasmine, and this is Celia, Pamela, Abiel, and Emmanuel.
Adeliel and Emmanuel. Nice to meet you.
We will be asking you questions related to your experience as an African American person. We would like to invite you to our interview round table. Please follow me. Before we begin the interview, please state your name and the role you fulfill here in the Bayshore School District.
Okay, my name is Dr. Garrett, and I am the assistant principal at Bayshore High School.
How would you describe the pride you feel as being a woman of color?
As a woman of color, I have immense pride. I feel as if I grew up in Bayshore, in a diverse town. We have a lot of diversity here in Bayshore, as you know, because you also are growing up in Bayshore. And as a black woman, I have been able to go through the Bayshore schools, and I started out as a guidance counselor here, and now I'm assistant principal, and I have the pleasure of working with all of the students here. I worked in the middle school. I will one day work with you, and I have immense pride in my role as assistant principal.
Does being an African American create opportunities for you to be a role model in the educational profession?
Absolutely. I feel as if we need more role models of color in our district. Our district is 70% of color, and I'm proud that I am one of the teachers who is diverse, and I would love to see more teachers of color who can be role models for our students who right now are the majority in our district.
If you could choose one word to describe yourself as a person of minority, what would that word be?
And can you tell us why?
Can you repeat that for me?
If you could choose one word to describe yourself as a person of minority status, what would that word be?
And can you tell us why?
I would say persevering, and the reason that I say that is because of being a woman of color, sometimes we come across a lot of adversity for whatever reason, and I feel like if we persevere, we can overcome any challenge that we set out for.
Once again, thank you for coming. We enjoyed your company, Dr. Garrett.
Oh, thank you so much. I enjoyed yours as well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for taking out time from your busy schedule to meet with us today here at Gardiner Manor School.
Thank you for inviting me. My pleasure.
We will be asking you questions related to your experience as an African American person. We would like to invite you to our interview table. Please follow me. Before we begin, please state your name and the role you fulfill here in Bayshore School District.
My name is Michelle Stowers, and I'm the assistant principal of Mary G. Clarkson and Brook Avenue Schools.
How would you describe the pride you feel being a woman of color?
Being a woman of color is an absolute pleasure. I think of myself as a role model for all of the children in Bayshore, as well as for my two daughters that I have at home.
Does being an African American create opportunities for you to be a role model in the educational profession?
That is absolutely correct. It does. It definitely does, because I don't feel there are enough African American women in the positions that we have here at Bayshore, teaching, administration, and in all of the staff members that are in Bayshore. There should be more than what we have.
If you could choose one word to describe yourself as a person of minority status, what would that word be?
Can you tell us why? One word to describe myself. Persevering, because there's many things that get hard, and there's many times that you're going to feel in life that you can't do something, but if you continue, it doesn't matter what people say or what people think or tell you, you can do anything. And just to give you an example, and I tell this to my daughters, always strive for the best. I actually started my PhD, which is a graduate degree, and after you finish that degree, you become a doctor. I started that before I had my children, and I had to stop. However, I'm going to finish in May 2020, and after this spring semester, I'll be Dr. Stowers.
Once again, thank you for coming. We enjoyed your company, Mrs.
It was my absolute pleasure, and you all did a fabulous job.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking out your time from your busy schedule to meet with us today here at Gardiner Manor School.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
My name is Pamela, and this is Devon, Miles, Maureen, and Abdiel.
Hi.
We will be asking you questions related to your experiences as an African American person.
Okay.
Before we begin with the interview,
Okay.
Before we begin with the interview, please state your name and the role you fulfill here in the Bayshore School District.
So my name is Sharon Hennett. I am a first grade teacher at at Fifth Avenue School. I am also a literacy coach, which means that I also support teachers with new learning.
That's cool.
Thank you. Thank you. And I used to teach 3rd and 4th grade previously, and I thought I loved 3rd and 4th grade. I still am a little partial to the grade, but the first graders are amazing.
Yeah. How would you describe the pride you feel being a woman of color?
There is such a pride because there's a long lineage of our people, of African Americans, and some of the struggles that they had to go through. So I always feel honored when I feel like I'm making a sense of accomplishment. It makes me feel like I'm standing on the shoulders of people of color who have come before me. They paved the way so that I can even be in schools like this where it's not segregated, but everything is integrated. When I was growing up, well, maybe not me, but my parents, they were not able, or my parents' parents were not able to attend schools for people who did not look like us. And so I am happy for the civil rights movement where some of those wrongs were corrected, and now I'm able to be, like you, in a school of many ethnicities.
Has your race ever become an obstacle in your life?
I never allowed my race to become an obstacle. Have I been upset at some of the things that have happened? Like I always go back to Rosa Parks, and I even speak to my little first graders as Black History Month is approaching. How unfair is that? You work hard, You pay your money, your feet are tired, you get on the bus, you do nothing wrong, but because of your skin color, someone tells you you have to get off the bus. Imagine that. And so because of things like that, I don't let anything stop me from doing what I know is right, and especially not my skin color. I can walk into a room with people who don't look like me, and I feel just as confident and comfortable because I know who I am and I know on the shoulders for which I stand.
If you could choose one word to describe yourself as a person of minority status, what would that word be? And can you tell us why?
Probably that one word, determined. I'm determined to not let anyone define me. I am who I am with no apologies. I like uniqueness. I like learning from other people, but I am determined to be true to myself. I believe that quote is, I don't know, to thy own self be true. It's not Gandhi. I can't remember who said it, but that's something that I believe in. So I am determined to not let anyone define me. In the same way, you shouldn't allow people to define you. You are who you are in your unique way with no apologies.
Once again, thank you for coming. We appreciated your time.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so sorry this is ending. I feel like I can talk to you for a few minutes more, but thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with us today here at Gardiner Manor School. My name is Maureen, and this is Devon, Miles, Jasleen, and Abdiel. We will be asking you questions related to your experiences as an African American person. We would like to invite you to our interviewing table. Please follow me. Before we begin with the interview, please state your name and the role you fulfill here at Bayshore School District.
My name is Aisha Bright, and I'm a paraprofessional.
How would you describe the pride you feel being a woman of color?
I would say I'll describe it as wonderful. I love being an African American woman.
Does being an African American create opportunities for you to be a role model in the educational profession?
Yes, it does. It shows that it doesn't matter what color, what race. You can be whatever you want to be. There's no limit.
If you could choose one word to describe yourself as a person of minority status, what would that word be? And can you tell us why?
One word. It's a good one. So one word. I would say strong, helpful, and sweet. That's okay. I would say strong. And I say because I overcome every obstacle that there is. There's no limit. You can do whatever you would like to do. Even though somebody says you can't, you can. Sky's the limit.
Once again, thank you for coming, Miss Bright. We enjoyed your company.
You are so welcome.
Thank you.
For joining us here at Gardiner Manor. I'm Devon.
Nice to meet you, Devon.
This is Emmanuel.
Nice to meet you, Emmanuel.
Abdiel.
Nice to meet you.
Celia.
Nice
Hello.
to meet you.
And Jada.
Nice to meet you.
We will be asking you questions related to your experiences as an African American person.
Perfect.
We would like to invite you to our interviewing table. Please follow me.
I sure will. Where would you like me to sit? Thank you.
Before we begin with the interview, please state your name and the role you fulfill here in the Bayshore School District.
My name is Jennifer McCracken, and I am a fourth grade teacher in Gardiner Elementary School, and I have been teaching for Bayshore School District for 22 years.
What is your opinion about your skin color?
And have you ever felt different because of it?
My opinion about my skin color is I'm proud to have the skin color that I have, and I love having the skin color that I have. Have I ever felt different? Well, of course, because I look different, but how I feel, I've always felt great because of my parents. They've made me proud of who I am and what I am. And they told me that the world is going to see me as a black woman, but know within myself that the inside is what makes me. Because of the outside doesn't mean that I am made in the image of anything negative. They've always made everything positive.
As an African American person, what is your opinion about stereotypes?
I don't like stereotypes because they're not real. They don't exist. It's just something that people made up just to not be nice.
If you could come back from the future to the historical time period of the civil rights movement, what would you say to the activists?
Keep on keeping on. Thank you. Personally, I've had family members who were there. So to hear them tell stories is amazing. There was a movie called Selma, and it was out a few years ago. And my husband's family is in the book that the movie was made about. So when my husband's uncle was telling my daughter, who was 16, stories, and when she watched the movie, it was exactly as he told her. The same thing, and he was there for the right to vote. He was part of that Voting Rights Act, the walk on the bridge, and to be a part of that, to be a part, family members that were a part of history is amazing.
That's amazing.
Thank you. I will bring the book in tomorrow for you guys to see. Okay.
That would be nice.
Once again, thank you for coming, Miss McCracken. We enjoyed your company.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed this.
Thank you for joining us here at Gardiner Manor School. My name is Celia, and this is Miles, Emmanuel, Devon, and Jada. We will be asking you questions related to your experience as an African American person. We would like to invite you to our interviewing table. Please follow me. Before we begin with the interview, please state your name and the role you fulfill here in the Bayshore School District.
Okay, my name is Ashley Lloyd, and I'm a fourth grade teacher here at Gardiner Manor.
What is your opinion about your skin color? And have you ever felt different because of it?
Well, it took me a while to believe this, but I think my skin color is beautiful. I think black is beautiful. But as I was growing up, sometimes I didn't feel that way. And it took me a while to get that self-confidence and to be around more people that look like me to understand that my black is beautiful.
As an African American person, what is your opinion about stereotypes?
I think that a lot of people think that they're funny and they joke around and use them as jokes. But I think that it does carry a heavy burden for people of color. I think that the stereotypes come from somewhere that's deep in hatred, and I don't like them. And whenever I hear someone make a joke about it or mention stereotypes, I try to correct them because I think that maybe they don't know any better.
If you could come back from the future to the historical time period of the civil rights movement, what would you say to the activists?
That's a great question. If I could go back as me, I would tell them thank you. I would tell them thank you for their sacrifices. I'd tell them it's all going to be worth it. I would tell them that to keep fighting even though it gets hard and it seems like it's not going to go anywhere. I'll tell them that I'm coming from 2020 and we've come a long way, and I'm very proud to say that I'm an African American in today's society.
Once again, thank you for coming, Ms. Lloyd. We enjoyed your company.
Thank you guys. I'm so happy to be here, and I feel honored that you guys chose me and are doing this. Thank you.
joining us here at Gardiner Manor School. My name is Miles.
Hello, Miles.
This is Jada.
Pleasure to meet you.
This is Devon.
Hello there, sir.
This is Emmanuel.
Hello, how are you?
And this is Abdiel.
Nice to meet you.
We'll be asking you questions related to your experiences being an African American person. Please take a seat. Before we begin with the interview, please state your name and the role you fulfill here at the Bayshore School District.
My name is Dr. Laquita Outlaw, and I am the principal at Bayshore Middle School.
What is your opinion about your skin color? And have you ever felt different because of it?
Well, my opinion about my skin color is that I'm very proud of my skin color. It makes me unique. It makes me different, and it is one where people know that I am personally someone who they can depend upon and that they can go to. And there are times where I felt, what's the word that I'm looking for? Challenges because of it, but I've been able to overcome them each and every time. And it's actually something that I am very proud of because it's made me a more resilient and strong person.
As an African American person, what is your opinion about stereotypes?
Unfortunately, stereotypes exist no matter what group you belong to. Whether you're female, whether you're white, there's always some opinion that someone has about you, and as a result, they make judgments. But once they have the opportunity to get to know you, then they see that those judgments don't exist.
If you could come back from the future to the historical time period of the Civil Rights Movement, what would you say to the activists?
I would tell them, don't give up. Keep pushing, because then even after all of these years where we fought so hard, there's still so much work that's left to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, thank you for coming. We enjoyed your company, Dr. Outlaw.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I enjoyed talking to each and every one of you. I have to say that you are the people that we're going to depend upon for our future. And so while I may not be able to travel back to civil rights times, I do want to ask you to not give up, to keep pushing, because everything that you do is going to make such a significant difference in the roles and the futures of those who come after. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
Today we will be discussing on what wowed us during this interviewing experience. Miss Curtis really wowed me during this experience because she was positive the whole time, and I had many thoughts about her response, and she also said everything straight from her heart, and she didn't think about it too long. She just said what came to her mind first. And that's what I liked about Miss Curtis a lot.
What I was wrong when Mr. Brown when I asked them a question, he had a very strong and a deep answer. And I was also really wowed when he told us about the story when he was in church, and then somebody insulted him when he was just sitting there and listening to everyone, I guess.
I really loved how Mr. Brown kept his head up high, even though despite the incidents that happened to him when he was a child because of his race, with that little boy that he sat next to. I just love how he kept being positive and kept being strong and spoke from his heart.
Miss Rodolphe really wowed me because her answers were really positive, and even though she got bullied a lot when she was younger, but that didn't stop her from going to her dreams.
The thing that wowed me most was when Miss Lloyd said that she didn't like her skin color, because he sometimes got bullied because of it. And I actually once felt that way, and it really touched me.
I think everyone wowed me because they all were just so positive, and I really liked that because they never said like, oh, I hate my skin color or something like that. They just kept it positive.
Today I'm going to talk about Sharon Hinnett. She is really confident on her words. If you ever hear her name, think about perseverance. The words I loved about her were don't give up, and that is a fact. Thank you.
Miss Curtis really wowed me because she was very positive about almost everything she said. And I really liked that about her. And that's why she wowed me a lot.
Mr. Brown wowed me when he did nothing to that boy, but he still insulted him even because of his race. Because of his race.
Thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts today. I really enjoyed you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
There's a hero if you look inside your heart. You don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer if you reach into your soul, and the sorrow that you know will melt away. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel